Today the weather was beautiful outside. It had been snowing since the morning, and by the evening there were already good snowdrifts. Probably. Only the janitor who had been sweeping the entrances since the morning was unhappy about such weather. Elena was returning home from work. She had heavy bags in her hands. Today she went to the store to buy some groceries. Well, as happens with everyone, in addition to what she needed, other products also ended up in the basket. New Year was coming up, and Elena understood that later in the hustle and bustle she could simply forget something. They were planning to celebrate this new year in the village with her parents. Elena opened the door and put the bags in the hallway, and no one greeted her, since her husband was at work, and her daughter had long since studied in another city with her husband. They had been together for 23 years. It seemed that these 23 years had flown by like one day. There were so many things in their life. There were good and not so good moments, but it was from such moments that their family life was formed. Having put the products on the shelves, Elena immediately began to cook dinner, because her husband would soon come home, and he would need to be fed with something. And so, when the meat was put on, the woman sat down in front of the TV, which was hanging in the kitchen. Her favorite series began. It was strange. Today her husband was probably late again, because it was already past the time when his working day ended. Elena had long been completely calm about delays. She was not jealous of him and never suspected him at all. Although once something unpleasant happened in their life, and then Alexander himself admitted that he had cheated on his wife. She forgave him. 5 years have passed since then, and Elena is sure that he will never back down again. In principle, she did not hold a grudge against him for long last time either. She considered that her husband's betrayal was her fault. Perhaps she did not devote enough time to him. So he began to look at others. Elena's friends always laughed at her when she began to justify her husband. They believed that Elena had no character, and she could not put her husband in his place. So she forgave him everything. Of course, possible betrayal could not be forgiven, but they had an adult daughter. Elena was afraid that she simply would not understand if her parents suddenly decided to divorce. But to be honest, Sveta understood everything perfectly well, and if this happened, she would definitely not say anything. She has had her own life for a long time, and the girl tries not to interfere with her parents. Elena cooked dinner and went to take a bath. For some reason, Alexander was still not there. She was already starting to worry. So, after the shower, she decided to call him. However, no one answered her, and she just sat on the sofa in the hope that he would come soon. And so, literally half an hour later, the key turned in the door lock. Alexander was standing at the threshold, and today he was drunk. Elena went out into the hallway and immediately started asking her husband about where he had been today and why he was in such a cheerful mood. What kind of holiday was today? Maybe I forgot something. How can you explain why your eyes are all over the place? Lenka, come on. Don't bother me. I'm in a terrible mood. What happened to your mood? Who offended you today? Nobody offended me. I just got fired from work, Alexander said calmly enough. Are you serious now? No, I'm just kidding. I just went to a bar and got drunk because I love my job. Of course I'm serious. I got fired. Now I'm unemployed, Alexander said seriously. He carefully sat down on a stool and tried to take off his shoes, but he couldn't do it, and Elena had to come to his aid. Why did they fire you? What happened? She continued to question her husband, taking off his shoes. Yes, another person took my place, a relative of the boss, so they threw me out like an unnecessary thing, Alexander said. Sasha, don't worry. Everything will be fine. You'll see. We'll find you another job. The main thing is don't get upset. And I'm not upset. Enough. We've lived at my expense. Now we'll live at yours. Sasha, what are you saying? When did we live only at your expense? I've always worked. The woman commented discontentedly on the words. What is your job? Your salary is not money, but tears. Sashenka, stop talking like that. You know that I won't find another job anyway. And I have nothing against your job. They just pay mere pennies there. Sasha, you're drunk. Hurry up. Everything will be fine. Nothing will be good. Don't you understand? I lost the job I had for over 10 years. Sasha, let's go. I'll put you to bed. You'll sleep. and everything will be fine. You know, Lena, it really bothers me that you look at the world through rose-colored glasses, and you don't notice what's going on around you. Haven't you noticed that the love between us is long since past? Sasha, it just seems that way to you. And it only seems that way while you're drunk. Let's go to the bedroom, please. But let's go. Just keep in mind that nothing will change tomorrow. I'm absolutely sure of that. Alexander rose heavily from the stool and went to the bedroom. Literally a few minutes later, he was already snoring, and Elena returned to the hallway to put his boots away to dry and hang up his jacket, which he had thrown right on the floor. Of course, she was very upset that her husband was fired, but she understood perfectly well that he would find another job, more promising and highly paid. She believed in him, and that was the most important thing. When the woman had done everything, she also went to bed, and the next morning, waking up, she began to get ready for work. Alexander also began to open his eyes. He had a terrible headache after yesterday's party. I don't remember anything. How did I even get home? He came in nicely, then expressed his opinion about my work and about the fact that now I will be the breadwinner in the family. Lee, well, forgive me. You know that when I drink, I absolutely cannot keep my mouth shut. Sasha made guilty eyes. I'm not offended, because we have known each other for a long time. I know what to expect from you. Okay, I'm going to work, and you should definitely eat some soup. It will make you feel better. In the evening, when I return, then we will decide something about your work. Okay. Thank you for always forgiving me. Elena smiled and kissed her husband, and then ran to work. The woman worked in a large store that sold electrical equipment. She was the chief manager and had worked here for more than 15 years. Elena was used to this place, and she was not going to change her job for something else. Yesterday, Alexander was wrong only in one thing. They pay well here, but he does not notice the money his wife brings in. For him, Elena did not earn anything, although more than half of the money went to providing for his daughter, who lived in another city. Yes, Elena sent her money secretly, because Alexander believed that the girl should live more modestly. But how can you live more modestly in a city where you do not know anyone? Alexander simply did not know that Sveta had been renting an apartment for a long time, because she had moved out of the dorm a long time ago. She did not like it there, and at every opportunity, she called her mother and got on her nerves. Due to her gentle nature, she eventually agreed to let the girl live separately, and even agreed to send her money every month so that she could pay the rent. Elena had probably been planning to visit Sveta for a whole year and finally see how she lived. After all, Svetlana really rarely came here, but the woman had never had the opportunity to go to another city. She had not gone on vacation for a long time. Her boss could not find a replacement, and she considered going on weekends pointless. Half a day there, 1 day there, and half a day back. But was this a trip to visit her daughter? Lena wanted to stay there for at least a few days, walk around the city, and just talk to her daughter, with whom she had not had a great relationship lately. To be honest, Elena knew nothing about Svetlana's life. The girl never shared her personal experiences with her mother, and Elena did not even know if she had a boyfriend or if her daughter was still single. The day at work, as always, flew by very quickly. She liked what she was doing, and the team was already her own. And in the evening, returning home, Elena saw her husband drunk again. She was very afraid of this, because Alexander's father passed away for this very reason. The woman was worried that her husband could have inherited the bad genes. Sasha, are you drinking again? What's going on? I don't understand anything, the woman scolded, putting away empty bottles. And here you don't need to understand anything. I'm terribly tired and just want to relax. So quit game in the kitchen and don't interfere with enjoying the silence. Elena looked at her husband again, and then, waving her hand, went to the bedroom. She understood that she needed to urgently find him a job. Otherwise, these evening get-togethers could drag on into a long binge. That evening, Elena had already been looking for vacancies. She wanted to help her husband, but she couldn't find anything interesting. Meanwhile, Sasha came into the bedroom and started scolding his wife for taking so long to get home from work. Stop talking nonsense. I always walk like this. I don't actually have a car. Lena made excuses, although she knew perfectly well that Sasha was just looking for attention. Oh, you don't have a car? Are you hinting that I earned so little that I couldn't buy myself a car? I'm not hinting at anything, please. Just go to bed. We'll talk about everything tomorrow. I'm tired of constantly walking around feeling deceived. Confess everything to me, and we'll decide what to do next. Do you have a lover? Sasha, are you out of your mind? Well, anything can happen. Just watch out if I find out anything. Yeah, I know the rest of this song. Alexander continued to riot for a long time. He wasn't going to give in so easily. However, the state he was in forced him to fall asleep. He fell asleep on the sofa in a sitting position, and Elena nudged him to lie down, covered him with a blanket, and went to sleep too. Or she was alone again. She could not believe that Alexander had started drinking. This was not how she had imagined her life. The woman thought that Sasha was jealous of her today, and she was pleased. It had not happened for a long time. To be honest, he only gave her flowers on holidays. She missed ordinary human relationships, talking until the morning, and how they used to live when he truly loved her. The next day, when she came home from work, Elena was afraid to see Alexander drunk again. But this time she was lucky. Sasha was sober. As always, he asked his wife for forgiveness, said that this would not happen again. Sasha, I really hope that this really won't happen again. But honestly, let's look for a job together. They sat down on the couch and started looking through ads on the internet. The first thing that caught their eye was shift work. Shift work offered a huge salary. Alexander would definitely not have earned that kind of money here. Well, I think I'll go work here. Wait, let's at least read. And to be honest, I can't imagine how I'll go a whole week without you. The woman pouted. It's okay. It won't happen to you. You'll cope. You're a big girl now. Elena looked closely at Alexander, and then began to study the ads. It seemed that everything written there was a lie. And if it was true, then in principle the working conditions that were offered there suited the woman. But I don't know. They write pretty nicely. I hope it's true. So give me your phone number. I'll call now. I'll find out everything. Alexander dialed the numbers and began to wait for an answer. After some time, a man finally answered him, and this man said that everything was exactly as written in the ad. After listening to everything, Alexander decided to give it a try. Well, tomorrow I'll go to the office. We have a branch in our city. Get a job, and then I'll go on shift. Oh, Sasha, I'm so scared. How will I be without you for a whole week? I'll miss you. Elena almost cried. Oh, let's just do without that. Everything will be fine, and I'm sure of it. Let it be as he says. Maybe they really do pay well there. And then you and I will finally be able to change the car. Ours is completely in pieces. Well done, Lenachka. You're starting to look for the positives. The next day, Alexander went to an interview and, returning home, told his wife that he was hired. Literally in 2 days, he was leaving for his first shift. Congratulations. I hope you like it there. And if you don't, just tell me right away, and we'll find something else. Are you treating me like a little kid? I'll sort this out myself, and I'm sure I'll like it. Time passed very quickly, and these 2 days flew by. Today, Elena was packing food for him for the trip. For the first time in my life, I'm really scared for you. You'll go to another city and work there. The main thing is, don't forget that your wife is waiting for you at home. Elena smiled. Lena, how could you forget that? What nonsense are you talking about? You know how it is. You start working somewhere far from home, and other interests appear. And you might also get a mistress. The woman reasoned. Stop talking nonsense. I told you. I will never back down again. We will always be together, and I don't need anyone but you. I really want to believe it. You know, I thought that while you're on duty for a week, I'd finally get to Svetka and take some unpaid leave. I should finally visit our daughter. Maybe I'll take Mom with me. That's right. Visit her and ask why she comes to visit us so rarely. Of course I'll ask, but you could call your daughter sometimes yourself. No, I don't have time to chat on the phone. I wonder where she disappeared to. Okay, Lena, finish everything and pack it, so I don't have to look for anything tomorrow. Elena stayed in the kitchen. Alexander went to bed. Sometimes it seemed to Elena that the man was completely uninterested in his daughter's life. In principle, why was she surprised? Even when Svetachka was a child, He hardly paid any attention to her. He always had his own things to do. Well, she was never angry with him for that. Lena continued packing the food that Sasha would take with her. She didn't understand how she would spend a week without her husband. The only thing that made her happy was that she would finally visit her daughter, having finished all her chores. Elena picked up the phone. She decided to call her mother in the village and find out if she wanted to go with her to another city to visit her granddaughter. Maria Alexandrovna quickly picked up the phone. She always answered her daughter quickly. Hello, Alianaka. Hi. Why are you calling so late? Did something happen? Hello, Mommy. No, nothing happened. Everything is fine. I'm just calling you about something important. And what is it? Listen, I'm planning on going to Svetka's. Do you want to go with me? Let's see how she lives in another city. Well, why not? You know how I love to travel. And I know. But how can you leave your father alone? What will happen to him? The old man sits there watching TV all day. I think if I disappear for a couple of days, he won't notice anyway. Well, you talk to him. Oh, I'll call you tomorrow and tell you what date I bought the tickets for. Okay, yeah. I need to visit Svetachka before the new year. Mom, Sasha got a new job. Now he'll be working shifts. So I'm wondering how I'll manage without him. What about the old job? It's a long story. I'll tell you later. The main thing is that you talk to Dad about going with me. Okay, I get it. I'll definitely call you tomorrow. Okay, Mommy. Then good night. I'll definitely call you tomorrow. Elena went to bed. She was thinking about how Sasha would work away from home, about how they would go to visit their daughter. What if Svetka wouldn't be happy about their visit? No, that simply couldn't happen. Elena tried to convince herself. Of course, she had her doubts. Svetka really might not be happy about their visit, all because the girl was very closed, and no matter what her mother did for her, Svetka never even said that she loved her. They had such a relationship since childhood. Only her father was always and in all situations good, although he almost did not take part in her upbringing. Pure daddy's girl. Elena never held a grudge against her, but still hoped that Svetka would change with time. And so the next day Alexander left for work, and Elena bought 2 bus tickets and called her mother. Mommy, get ready. Tomorrow at 8 we have a bus, and I will come for you today so that we are not late. Okay, daughter, I will wait for you. In the evening, Elena picked up Maria Alexandrovna, and she stayed the night with her in the city. Today they talked a lot. Elena was very worried about her father. His health had been deteriorating sharply lately. Lena, get it out of your head. If he hadn't been fiddling around with his tractor so much, there wouldn't be such a problem. Maybe you're right. His blood pressure is jumping for some reason. Maybe he's nervous if he can't do something. That's the bottom line. That's what I'm talking about. No need to fill your head with all this nonsense. Better tell me, do you at least know Svetka's address? No, I've got an idea. This is how we'll come to town, call her. Say that we want to send her a New Year's gift. She'll tell us herself, and we'll be right there. Oh, Lena, oh, what a prankster. Okay, I hope that's how it will be. Early the next morning, they went to the neighboring town. It should be noted that Elena was very close to her mother. Her mother knew all her secrets and even knew that Alexander had once cheated on her. She did not discuss her daughter. After all, she believed that she had her own head on her shoulders, and it was her business how to act in this situation. Arriving at the bus station, Elena called Sveta and said that she wanted to send her a parcel. Of course, the girl immediately dictated the address. But that's it, Mom. We have the address. Let's go. Buy a cake and show up as a surprise. Well, let's go. The main thing is that she likes the surprise. And how could she not like it? After all, I'm the mother, and her grandmother is the closest person in her anyway. Elena smiled. Oh, I don't know. I feel that everything is not right. It will be good, as you described it to me. But, Mom, I ask you, don't always start with your premonitions. The women went into the store, bought the most delicious cake, and went to the address that Svetlana gave them. They used the services of a taxi, and the car quickly brought them home. The woman rang the intercom, and the door was opened quickly. It was surprising, but Svetlana did not even ask who had come to see her. However, having opened the front door, to put it mildly, the girl was stunned. Mom, Grandma, What are you doing here? Svetachka, aren't you happy? Asked the mother. No, I'm glad. It's just that I didn't expect you at all. And my apartment is a mess. Oh, come on. We didn't see any mess. You've never been known for your love of cleaning. Maybe we should go into the apartment now. Yes, of course, go ahead. But I want to warn you. And don't be surprised if something seems strange to you. The interesting thing surprised Elena, and she took a few steps into the apartment. In principle, that was enough for her. In the room, she saw a young man who was making the bed like he owned the place. The guy was very strange, with a huge number of piercings in the bedspread. Elena didn't like his face right away. What a surprise! Maria Alexandrovna smirked behind her. Yes, Mom. The surprise is really good. But what about it, daughter? Maybe you'll introduce us. Mom, let me introduce you. This is Vlad. We live together. The young man turned around and saw two unfamiliar women. However, the guy did not lose his head and immediately extended his hand. Hello, so you are the ancestors of my princess. Should we get acquainted? Or is she the one who started this conversation? She finally extended her hand. They started talking, and soon Svetlana realized that her mother did not really like her fiancé. So Sveta quickly sent him to the store, supposedly for tea, to finally be alone with her mother and grandmother. Sveta, what is this? Where did you find this young man? Does he have an ounce of respect? The way he talks? And in general, do you hear how he talks to your mother and grandmother? Elena screamed in panic. Now Elena hoped that Svetlana would apologize and say that she would soon break up with this Vlad. But instead, Sveta took his side. Mom, what difference does it make how he talks? He's my boyfriend, I love him, and we live together. We're definitely not going to break up because you don't like him. What are you talking about? Is it even possible to date someone like that? Diana, you don't even look like a human being. What kind of earrings does he have on his eyebrows, on his lip? And what's so fashionable now? Grandma was also shocked. She would never have thought that her granddaughter had such tastes. But you're also good. You showed up without even warning us. Sveta screamed. You showed up at this one. Elena got completely angry. How dare you talk to us like that? Svetka, have you really forgotten who pays for your apartment? You only live on my money. I'm sure your mummer doesn't even work. He's studying. When should he work? Sveta, I'm in complete shock. You two live on the money I send you every month? Are you completely crazy? But why does Eva send money well too? That's great. If you're going to be with him, then live at his expense. I've told you everything. Thank you, daughter. I didn't expect you to greet us so well. Mom, get ready. We're leaving. We'll still make the last bus. But get lost. I don't need your support at all. I'm not parting with Vlad. Grandma just kept quiet, and she did what Elena told her to do. So she quickly grabbed her bags. He ran out of the apartment. They caught the last bus. And now the whole way they discussed this Vlad, who seemed to them not only impudent and ill-mannered, but also a person who was completely out of his mind. She had to get involved with someone incomprehensible. I don't understand where she dug him up at all. Elena repeated. Lenachka, calm down. Sveta is already an adult, and will probably decide for herself. Mom, didn't you hear? She told us openly that she was not happy. Supposedly we should warn her when we go to visit. No, I didn't raise my child that way. Elena was whining the whole way. She expressed her dissatisfaction with who the girl was dating. She didn't like Vlad, and she also didn't like the way Svetlana was behaving. Already at home, Elena reasoned that she would not tolerate such an attitude towards herself, and if Sveta did not want to break up with Vlad, it meant that she did not want to communicate with her mother. It was especially hard for her now, when her husband was far away, and the relationship with her daughter was completely ruined. Exactly a week later, Alexander returned home, and Elena immediately told him how she met her daughter. However, her husband's reaction surprised her again. Listen, but I think she's a big girl now, and she'll decide for herself what to do with her life. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Have you seen this Vlad? You can't look at him without tears. They both don't work. You know, you hid from me the fact that you've been sending her money for a long time. Oh, let's not do that. She didn't like it in the dorm at all. But you see, she didn't like it. But she really likes living with this Vlad on our money. Elena realized that Alexander did not share her sadness. It was as if he didn't care who his daughter lived with. Time had flown by quickly since Alexander had started working shifts. Yes, Alexander really did earn a lot. But Elena believed that no amount of money could replace having a husband by her side. He would come for only 5 days, and then leave for a week again. They never spoke to Sveta. The only thing her mother knew was that she was still living with this Vlad, and she still sent the money she promised to deprive her daughter of. Time passed, and spring gradually came to the city. Today Alexander was leaving for his shift again. Sasha, I'm so tired of you being away all the time. Lee, what kind of kindergarten is this? I've been working for a long time. I know that, but I still can't get used to it. But calm down. Everything will be fine between us. I really hope so. You know, I miss Svetka so much. She doesn't call me, and doesn't tell me anything about her personal life. Don't worry. Svetka won't be able to live without money for long. She'll come crawling to you soon. Of course, Elena didn't tell Alexander that she was continuing to sponsor her living in another city. And now Sasha was gone again, and Elena was alone again. This week had dragged on excruciatingly long for her. Since Sasha changed jobs, he had changed. He had become somehow businesslike. Seriously, Lena looked at him and fell in love all over again. He had become very gallant. Probably, the money gave him confidence. The woman was very proud of him. Today, waking up early in the morning, she looked at the calendar with hope. Only the 3rd day since Alexander left for his shift, but it seemed as if he had been gone for a month. Elena missed him terribly, and was really looking forward to the day when Sasha would show up at home. Today was her day off, and she decided to devote it to household chores. Elena had been working in the apartment since early morning. The washing machine, the vacuum cleaner, and the woman was running around the apartment like crazy. She was going to do all the housework, but she was interrupted. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell, and, throwing the wet rag aside, the woman hurried to the door. Opening the door, she was stunned. Svetka was standing on the threshold and not alone. She was holding her rounded belly with her hand. Elena was silent for a few minutes. She just looked at her daughter, and then at her belly. Sveta's face was quite pale, and her eyes showed sadness. Mom, maybe I should come in? Yes, Sveta, come in. The girl entered the apartment, sat down on the sofa, propped her head up with her hands, and immediately burst into tears. Daughter, what happened? Why are you crying? Mom, he left me. What do you mean left? How else? Elena looked at her belly. He doesn't give a damn about me and my baby. He just got up and left. Said he wasn't ready to be a father yet. But at first we were planning a happy life together, and even after I found out about the pregnancy, he wasn't going anywhere. He waited until the time when it would be impossible to have an abortion. Wait, what are you saying? What abortion? Get it out of your head right now. Mom, what should I do now? Daughter, calm down. Mom will think about it now and tell you everything. Mom, I'm so afraid that I won't be able to love this child. After all, it's all because of him. Don't you dare say that. The baby has nothing to do with it. And this Vlad of yours, he'll get what he deserves. Don't worry, we'll raise him, and I'm sure his father will be only too happy. But I'm not so sure about that. They talked with Sveta for a long time. Elena tried to calm her down and make her understand that she was always welcome at home, that she was loved and awaited, and that this baby would be born in love. So go ahead. Go to your room. Put your things away, and I'll run to the store for now. I'll buy us something tasty. Now you have to eat for 2. Okay, Mom. I'll be waiting for you, Sveta said, wiping away her tears. After talking with her mother, Sveta felt better. She realized that there is no better friend than her mother. She will always understand and support, no matter what. Elena quickly threw on her coat and ran to the store. The store, which was near the house, was not in the inertia, so she had to run to the next one. There, walking between the shelves, she heard a familiar voice. Elena thought to herself, wow, how similar is the voice of some man to the voice of her husband. However, when she looked up, everything became clear. A happy husband was walking around the store with a young girl. The girl was holding a bouquet of flowers. She was smiling and was truly happy. Alexander was laughing and constantly holding her hand. For several minutes, Lena could not understand what was happening now. And then, when the realization finally came, she went to her husband and his mistress. "Lena, what are you doing here?" He was frightened. "I'm more interested in what you're doing here when you should be on duty." And the man was noticeably confused. "Darling, who is this?" asked the young girl. "I'm his legal wife." "But who are you?" "That still needs to be clarified." "Sasha, but you said that you're not a wife, or rather, that you're a widower," the girl asked in a plaintive voice. "Yes, the situation is not the most pleasant, but I can explain everything to you all," said Sasha, and looked first at his wife, then at his mistress. "But you don't need to explain anything to me," Elena said quite calmly. "You, girl, when you start living, keep in mind that he has this peculiarity. He pours a lot of alcohol into himself, and pours it until he falls asleep. I think he hasn't surprised you with his talents yet. After such a stormy evening, his soup is thin in the morning. Let's do it. Otherwise you might just not get out of this state, and repeat it day after day. Honestly, I don't envy you at all. It has so many minuses." "Stop it. What kind of circus are you? Look at us." "The customers are looking." Sasha got angry. "What's wrong with that? I have to prepare the girl for what's coming. The most important thing, Sasha doesn't know this yet, but in about 4 months he'll become a grandfather." The customers almost fainted from these words. They began to whisper among themselves and glance at this family quarrel. "And as you understand, a grandfather needs good care. I hope you're ready for this." The mistress was silent. She simply listened to Elena's wise advice and didn't even put in a word. "But I think I've said everything. Now I'll go. My daughter is waiting for me. I'll soon become a grandmother too." Only now did Alexander understand what had happened when Elena was leaving. He caught up with her and began asking about Svetlana. "But will you come for your things?" "Well, then you'll look and talk to her personally." Now Sasha felt terribly uncomfortable. Yes, he had a young mistress, but he also had a wife who truly loved him and who believed in him. And it turns out that she knows him so well that he would never have been able to solve some of the situations that happened to him before on his own. Did not get out. Only now the man realized what happiness he had lost. But it was too late, and Elena had left. And Sasha stood in place for a long time and looked after her. It was strange, but he had never noticed how beautiful and feminine she was. And now, looking at her retreating silhouette, he thought that he had never seen a more beautiful woman. He's a fool to have missed his happiness. It's unlikely that he will become happy now. "That's it, Sasha. I have to go. I still have to pack your things. See how simple everything turned out to be. It was just hard for you to keep your promise." "Yes, I stumbled, but I didn't know that our daughter was pregnant. If I had known earlier, I would never have started dating anyone. Lenachka, please forgive me that I stumbled again." "No, I definitely won't forgive you this time. I'm waiting for you to get your things." "Svetka, I'll explain everything myself. This is how people who have lived together for more than 25 years get divorced. Alexander rented a small apartment and now lives in it with some woman. But this is absolutely not the girl Elena caught him with. Sasha tried many times to improve relations with his ex-wife, but Lena has completely different plans for this life. She started dating a man, and things are heading towards marriage. In general, the woman has only now begun to regret that she forgave her husband before. People do not change. They can just pretend to be a different person for a while. But sooner or later they will still show their true face. And Elena has become a happy grandmother. She is raising her granddaughter, helping Sveta. Finally, she and Sveta have found a common language and almost never argue, except for a little, when Sveta is in a bad mood. But in general everyone is happy. The girl looks at her daughter and understands that if it were not for her mother, she simply would not exist. She is so ashamed of these thoughts that were spinning in her head. She understands that she was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and Vlad is to blame for this. By the way, Vlad tried to get Svetlana back, even played on her pity and said that he realized everything. But now Sveta doesn't believe him. She didn't fall for his fairy tales and stayed with her mother.